Intimacy isn't the space between two bodies. It's the distance between two souls. And Stoicism might just be the bridge. Have you ever laid beside someone and still felt completely alone? Or loved someone deeply, yet somehow felt like no one ever truly touched the real you? We live in the most connected era in human history, and yet we're more isolated than ever. Social media gives the illusion of closeness, but when the screen goes dark, so does our sense of connection. The irony? The harder we chase intimacy, the more lost many of us feel. So where's the disconnect? Marcus Aurelius, Stoic philosopher and Roman emperor, once wrote, "A man's worth is no greater than his ambitions." But in intimacy, ambition isn't about conquering, it's about understanding and being understood. In this video, we're going to uncover 5 secret mental postures illuminated by Stoic wisdom that redefine intimacy not as emotional demand, but as a quiet, grounded offering of the self. You might be surprised to learn some people are unforgettable not because of sweet words, but because of their calm, grounded presence. Some are deeply loved, not for their looks, but for their inner stability. And some build powerful connections through nothing more than well-timed silence. This isn't your typical guide to love or relationships. This is a journey of inner refinement, helping you become someone worth remembering, not someone to be possessed. If you've ever been hurt in love, if you've ever wondered why someone walked away, or why giving your all still left you misunderstood, you're in the right place. Join me as we step into the deeper layers of the human heart, where Stoic philosophy whispers truths even midnight confessions fail to reach. This journey won't make you more attractive to others. It will make you magnetically drawn to yourself. And that's where true intimacy begins. Part 1. What does intimacy mean in Stoic philosophy? In modern society, intimacy is often reduced to physical closeness, intense emotions, or private moments. But if you were to ask a Stoic philosopher, someone like Epictetus or near Marcus Aurelius, they wouldn't define intimacy through outward gestures. Instead, they would tell you, true intimacy isn't about how close you are to someone else. It's about how close you've come to yourself. To the Stoic, intimacy is a steady connection between two independent souls, free of attachment, free of possession, and unburdened by emotional demands. They believed you cannot share peace if your inner world is in chaos. You cannot offer love if your heart depends on being loved in return. And you cannot truly connect with anyone else until you've first learned to sit with yourself in silence. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." In other words, the first kind of intimacy must be with yourself. When you understand your own mind, when you can hear the quieter voices within, you're finally able to listen to others without judgment. When you can sit with your own pain, you won't flinch when someone shares their darkness. And in that space, intimacy stops being an emotional tug of war. It becomes a form of presence, unrushed, unconditional, unattached. Much like the Stoic way of living, calm, intentional, and never losing that deep inner freedom, you can live a lifetime beside someone and never truly experience intimacy. But one moment in the presence of someone deeply at peace, and you may feel a connection no words can explain. In this noisy world of emotional chaos and pretense, The Stoic doesn't seek intimacy through the touch of the hand, but through the quiet meeting of inner selves. Part 2. Five common mistakes that quietly destroy intimacy. We often think intimacy is the result of passion, time spent together, or speaking each other's love language. But Stoic philosophy would say, intimacy doesn't come from those things. It's revealed in how you show up for yourself and the other person when life doesn't go as planned. Unfortunately, because we don't always understand this, we make subtle but damaging mistakes. Mistakes that, over time, quietly kill intimacy in the most painful way. 1. We talk too much and listen too little. The Stoics constantly remind us, don't rush to react, first observe. But in relationships, we often react emotionally, interrupting, defending ourselves, or offering advice before the other person has fully opened up. We confuse our talking with understanding, forgetting that listening is the true key to someone's inner world. Marcus Aurelius once said, "It is not necessary to talk all the time." Intimacy doesn't require words, it requires presence. And true presence means knowing how to step back and let the other person simply be themselves. 2. We mistake intimacy for dependency. Have you ever said, "I can't live without them"? A Stoic would immediately ask, do you love the person or the feeling of needing them? Stoicism doesn't deny love, it simply warns us. Intimacy cannot grow from emotional dependency. If you come to someone hoping to be filled, the relationship becomes a transaction, not a true connection. Epictetus once reminded us, the more we value things outside our control, the less control we have. A relationship rooted in dependency becomes a burden, not a refuge. And in that space, intimacy turns hollow and strained. 3. We react instead of reflect. When hurt, we tend to react immediately, with anger, silence, blame. But reaction isn't the path to intimacy. It's often just a way to protect our ego. The Stoic chooses reflection over reaction. They pause and ask, what am I really feeling right now? Am I projecting my own fear onto this person? What part of me needs healing before I continue this conversation? That pause where we choose inner stillness over emotional noise is where true intimacy begins. 4. We wait for them to change instead of changing ourselves. A common belief, if they love me enough, they'll change, they'll understand, they'll do better. But the Stoics teach us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Waiting for someone else to change is a sure way to lose intimacy because it turns you into a controller, not a companion. The Stoic path is to change yourself, to observe, to grow, and to lead by example. That's how a real connection is built and sustained. 5. We love with expectation instead of understanding. Finally, perhaps the most common mistake. We fall in love with the idea of someone, not the person they truly are. When they don't meet our expectations, we pull away, disappointed, frustrated, hurt. And the intimacy that once felt real fades like it was never there at all. A Stoic understands, every person is their own complex universe. And you don't get to own that universe. All you can do is be present, accept them, understand them, and walk alongside them. Not control or mold them into what you want. These 5 mistakes may seem small, but they're often what turn the most intimate relationships into the most distant ones. Marcus Aurelius didn't speak much about love, but he once wrote something that lingers deeply. Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking. Part 3, 5 Stoic postures that build lasting and mysterious intimacy. The word posture here doesn't refer to any physical action or technical move. Instead, it speaks to internal states, mental and emotional stances you carry within yourself as you step into intimate relationships. Stoic philosophy teaches us it's not the circumstances that make us lose intimacy. It's the posture of mind we choose when facing those circumstances. Below are 5 Stoic postures, deceptively simple, yet powerful enough to make you unforgettable, trustworthy, and the kind of person who makes others feel deeply safe in your presence. 1. The posture of stillness. No reacting, just being present in a loud world where everyone is rushing to speak, explain, and assert their identity. Stillness has become a rare and deeply attractive art. The Stoic doesn't stay silent out of passivity. They stay silent to create space for others to be themselves. Think about how it feels to be near someone who doesn't rush to react, who doesn't interrupt or judge. You feel safe. You can breathe. You get to exist without having to defend yourself. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best answer to anger is silence. In intimacy, stillness is healing." It says, you don't need to be right. I don't need to be perfect. We just need to be real. And that's where true connection begins. 2. The posture of self-sovereignty. No expectations, just giving. One of the biggest reasons relationships fall apart is unmet expectations. You wait for the other person to prove their love, to return the effort, to meet your needs, and when they don't, you feel disappointed. The Stoics remind us, you don't control others. Only yourself and your actions are within your domain. The Stoic's posture in intimacy is, I give freely because I choose to, not because you owe me anything in return. That kind of inner sovereignty frees both people from pressure. You love not because you need the other person, but because you are whole enough to love without demand. And paradoxically, that lack of demand is what makes you more attractive than ever. 3. The posture of courage. Brave enough to tell the truth, brave enough to be yourself. Intimacy cannot survive without honesty, but honesty takes guts. Most people don't lie because they're deceitful, but because they're afraid of being hurt, abandoned, or rejected. Stoicism teaches us, truth may hurt, but only truth can heal. The Stoic posture is this: I won't hide. I'll show up, even with my messy parts, and I'll face your truth too. The Stoic will say what needs to be said, but they speak from a still heart, not a wounded ego. They are honest, but never cruel. They are themselves, but never force others to be the same. That's what creates the rarest kind of intimacy. I can be real and still be welcomed. 4. The posture of calm acceptance. Letting others be who they are. Nothing destroys intimacy faster than trying to change someone. If you say you love someone but can't accept them as they are, you're not loving a person, you're clinging to a fantasy. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together." The Stoic posture is, I see you with your strengths, your wounds, your unhealed shadows, and I don't need you to be different to fit my world. I want you to be fully yourself, bathed in honesty and compassion. This posture requires profound inner calm, but when you embody it, the other person will feel something extraordinary. I don't need to be fixed. I am finally understood. Five, the posture of stepping back, withdrawing to protect sacred space. We often think intimacy means constant closeness, always being together, always sharing, always connected. But the Stoics believe space, distance, is what gives intimacy its sacredness. The Stoic posture isn't just about moving forward, it's knowing when to pause. When you sense the other person is overwhelmed, you don't rush in to fix them. When the relationship needs to breathe, you step back and let it. This posture is much like meditation. No interference, just awareness. You don't withdraw out of coldness, you withdraw out of maturity, because you understand. Intimacy needs quiet moments, just as music needs silent rest. When you live with these 5 postures, stillness, sovereignty, courage, calm, and the wisdom to pause, you no longer have to try to be intimate. True intimacy will arise on its own, as a natural response to the light within you. Stoicism doesn't teach us how to seduce. It teaches us how to become someone trustworthy, respectable, and deeply worthy of connection. And the beautiful truth is, when you live this way, people won't just love you, they'll remember you forever. To part 4, 5 Stoic truths about attraction and intimacy. 1-to-1. True attraction doesn't come from physical appearance, it comes from inner depth. In a world obsessed with looks, beauty standards, and surface-level charm, Stoicism comes in like a wake-up call. What matters most is not how you look to others, but who you are when no one is watching. Marcus Aurelius. Stoic philosophy teaches us that true attraction radiates from within. It doesn't beg for attention. It's not something you manufacture with your eyes, your outfit, or your words. It's something that flows naturally when you live with integrity, self-mastery, and freedom from needing others' approval. Someone with an average appearance but inner calm will often have a deeper, more lasting allure than someone conventionally attractive but insecure. And nowhere is this more evident than in intimate relationships. Because intimacy requires trust, and we only trust people who are real. Deepen. Attraction doesn't come from talking well, but from listening deeply. Think attractive people are great talkers. A Stoic would gently smile and say, "No, they know how to be silent at the right time." In a close personal conversation, the most attractive person isn't the one who dominates the dialogue. It's the one who makes you feel heard, truly heard. They don't interrupt. They don't rush to fix or judge. They don't perform. They are present, fully, and they allow you to be yourself. The Stoic way of listening is to hear without the urge to control. It's the kind of listening where you're not trying to solve anything. You're just there. And often, that presence is what people remember for a lifetime. 2 That's because real attractiveness doesn't live in persuasive tricks. It lives in someone who's deeply at ease with themselves. The Stoics call this ataraxia, a serene and undisturbed mind. A Stoic enters intimacy without playing a role, without worrying about wins and losses. They don't put on a show, they simply show up as they are. That lack of need to prove something gives off a very rare kind of energy. Grounded but not rigid, humble but not invisible, free but deeply respectful of the other. When you carry that energy, you don't have to score points. Others will naturally feel your depth and be drawn to it. 3 dash dash. That means you don't attract peace by chasing it. You become peaceful. You don't make people trust you through words, but through the way you live. So in a relationship, don't ask, how can I make them find me attractive? Ask instead, am I living in a way that I would admire in someone else? When you become someone you deeply respect, you no longer need to chase attraction. You embody it. 4 dash dash. Most people try to be attractive to win someone, to secure love, to be chosen. The Stoic does the opposite. They don't need to be chosen, they choose themselves. And when they enter a relationship, they carry this quiet commitment. I will not sacrifice my values just to hold on to you, because they understand, if someone loves you but causes you to lose yourself, it's not love worth keeping. If a relationship makes you abandon your core principles, it won't last. That mindset is what makes you not just attractive, but deeply respected and unforgettable. 5. Attraction isn't a skill, it's a byproduct. A byproduct of inner steadiness, of living with integrity, of a heart that listens, and a soul that no longer depends on external validation. When you live like a Stoic, you don't just become attractive, you become someone others want to come home to. Part 5, why intimacy doesn't depend on time, but on the energy of presence. 1-2, surety, time doesn't guarantee closeness, presence does. In today's world, we often spend a lot of time around each other, but rarely are we truly present. 2 people at dinner, each staring at their phone. A couple living together for years, yet barely listening to each other anymore. Long conversations filled not with connection, but with stress, judgment, or complaints. Stoicism reminds us of something simple yet profound. Nothing is more valuable than the present moment, and no one is more deserving of your full presence. Intimacy doesn't come from the hours you spend together. It comes from the quality of each second you share. Are you really listening? Are you truly empathetic? Are you actually there? 2 dash dash. They understand that where time can't be possessed, but presence leaves a lasting mark. A focused gaze, a calm, unhurried touch, a question asked with genuine care. These small gestures are the core of deep intimacy. You can spend a whole year with someone and feel distant, or have a 30-minute conversation and remember it forever. Stoicism teaches us the depth of connection isn't measured in duration, but in presence. 3 dash dash. The energy you bring is what makes people feel loved. We often think intimacy means saying sweet words, doing romantic gestures, or making long-term plans. The Stoics don't reject those ideas, but they go deeper. People won't remember what you did, but how they felt when they were around you. When you show up without judgment, when you listen without interrupting, when you look at someone with gratitude just for being with them, you're offering a quiet kind of energy, grounded, peaceful, alive. And the other person will feel it in their soul. 4 dash dash B1. This applies perfectly to intimate relationships. Don't obsess over how long you're together. Don't stress about proving your love with time. Just show up deeply and meaningfully in the moments you do have. A Stoic doesn't crave a relationship that lasts forever. They aim to make each moment feel eternal, because they know there is no forever, but there is right now, and you can live it so fully that it lasts in memory forever. 5 dash dash. It's about being calmly present, without pressure. You don't need someone to say, "I love you" every day. You just need them to feel accepted, not judged, not pushed away. That's what happens when you show up with a steady, peaceful heart. In a world that's fast, loud, and disconnected, the one who can sit still, truly listen, and be present becomes rare and deeply magnetic. Deepen, Stoic practice. 3 simple steps to be fully present in intimacy. 1. Put away devices. Set down the phone. Turn off the TV. Close the laptop. The person in front of you is more important than any notification. 2. Focus on emotion. Don't rush to solve the problem. Just listen. Feel with them. No need to respond with logic. 3. Slow your breath. Pause before replying. In the silence, real connection begins to grow. Intimacy isn't measured in months or years. It's measured in depth of presence. You don't have to be there forever, but while you are, live that moment as if it's your last. Because someone who is truly present is someone the world will never forget. Part 6. 5 forms of silence that deepen intimacy. Stoics call it the powerful art of emptiness. Deepen. Silence isn't the absence of words. It's the most authentic form of presence. In a world filled with noise and rushed words, silence has become a luxury. But in Stoicism, silence is a form of power. It's not avoidance. It's a conscious act. It is the art of self-control, emotional depth, and unspoken connection. Words may mislead, but authentic silence never lies. Implied wisdom within Stoic thought. The modern. 1. Silence to truly listen, without rushing to respond. When someone you love is speaking, they don't always need your reply. What they really need is for you to listen with your full presence. No judgment, no interruptions, no overanalysis. A true Stoic treats silence as a sign of respect. They don't rush to speak. They create space for the other person to express their thoughts and emotions fully, without fear of being cut off or corrected. This kind of silence is a gift, and often, silence offers more comfort than any words ever could. Let them finish speaking, then ask yourself if a response is even necessary. Deepen 2. Silence to maintain integrity in the heat of anger. In an argument, those who can't control themselves will do anything to win. But the Stoic chooses silence, not out of weakness, but because they understand. If you lose your calm, you've already lost, no matter how right you are. Silence in anger is how you protect your character and the depth of your relationship. You don't react. You don't explode. You create our space for both of you to breathe and avoid harming each other. This is a power only those with true inner strength can practice. Deepen 3. Silence to feel. When words fall short, some moments don't need words. A shared glance after a long day, a hug that doesn't require an explanation, sitting in stillness, watching the sky, or listening to the rain. True intimacy is often born in these moments, when two people connect beyond language. The Stoics refer to this as intentional emptiness, like a pause in music or the space between lines in a poem. It says nothing, yet speaks everything. Silence is where souls meet, without needing to touch. Number 4. Silence to observe instead of rushing to judge. In close relationships, misunderstandings often arise from reacting too quickly. A Stoic understands that silence is a chance to observe more deeply. Beneath the words, behind the gestures, what is really going on? Maybe your partner is irritable, not because of you, but because of a long, exhausting day. Maybe their silence is not rejection, but a quiet cry for help. A wise person doesn't jump to conclusions, they observe to understand. Stay silent long enough for the other person to feel safe opening up. Number 5. Silence to clarify what truly needs to be said. Many things said in relationships are just ways to fill fear, uncertainty, or emotional gaps. A Stoic learns to filter other speech. What's truly necessary and what's just a fleeting emotion? Before speaking, a Stoic asks, is this helpful? Is it rooted in truth and kindness? Will harm be done if I don't say it? If the answer fails any of those filters, they choose silence. You don't have to say everything you think, but you should think carefully about everything you're about to say. Silence is not emptiness. It's the starting point of true empathy. It's the foundation of lasting relationships. When words have done their part, silence begins to speak. A Stoic doesn't remain silent because they have nothing to say. They remain silent because they know when not saying anything says the most. Part 7. 5 reasons why a person can be calm yet deeply attractive in intimacy. The Stoic art of contrast. 1-to-1. Always funny, always engaging, romantic, effortlessly dynamic. But that's what the noisy world out there teaches you. Stoicism teaches the opposite. The most captivating people don't draw attention by being loud. They draw you in with their quiet presence. They can enter a room and do almost nothing, yet their presence brings peace. No manipulation, no demands. They don't try to impress, and that very lack of effort becomes incredibly magnetic. 2. Nari Yurichachus. Calmness signals inner strength. People with real inner strength don't overreact to small things. They're not easily shaken. They don't try to control others. And in intimate relationships, that creates an unexpected sense of safety. You're not judged. You're not rushed to change. You feel like you can be yourself in their presence because they are steady, like a rock in the middle of crashing waves. If you want to be irresistible, become unshakable. 3 dash. Calm, but not cold. A Stoic isn't emotionally detached. They're simply not controlled by their emotions. They feel your pain, but they don't sink into it. They see your chaos, but they stay grounded to lift you up. Rather than falling into the storm with you. This is mature intimacy. Being fully present with you without losing themselves. Their calmness allows them to love deeply without losing their center. 4 dash. They're secure enough to take a step back and let you be fully seen. They don't impose their opinions. They don't fight to be right. They don't need to win every argument. I don't need to be right. I need truth, and I need both of us to feel free. And this is why they become so quietly magnetic. You don't feel competition. You don't feel pressure. You feel safe to grow. Because beside you is someone who doesn't need to dominate. 5 dash. Attraction rooted in emotional independence. One of the most powerful traits in a relationship is being with someone who doesn't rely on you to feel complete. A Stoic learns they don't need someone else to make them happy. They cultivate joy from within. They don't blame others for their pain. They take full responsibility for their emotions. They don't control. They give freedom because they trust the value of the connection. This isn't detachment, it's maturity. And that kind of maturity creates a lasting, quiet fire that stays with you, not flashy, but unforgettable. A person can be calm, quiet, and reserved, and yet still leave a lasting impression, because in their steadiness becomes a rare refuge in a chaotic world. They don't chase attention, and that very lack of need becomes their greatest allure. The one who makes you feel at peace is the one you never want to leave. Header Part 8. 5 ways self-mastery makes you unforgettable. Dernier. When you control yourself, you control how others experience you. In a world where emotions flare and reactions are impulsive, a person who masters themselves stands out effortlessly. They don't need to be stunning. They don't need to be overly talented or try hard cool. They need just one thing: self-control. Self-control in their gaze, self-control in their words, self-control in how they respond to the world, even in how they walk away when it's time. That quality makes people feel both deep respect and deep desire. 1. Stoics don't suppress emotion, they steer it. Contrary to the common myth, Stoics aren't emotionally numb. They don't fight their anger, fake happiness, or force themselves to stay positive. Instead, they acknowledge emotions, but don't let emotions drive their actions. They choose how to respond rather than reacting on impulse. For example, they might be angry, but they won't shout at you. They may be hurt, but they won't take it out on you. They might love you deeply, but they won't lose themselves in that love. And that's exactly why being around them feels safe. No manipulation, no explosions, no judgment. 32. When others lose control, your calm makes you magnetic. Picture this: a heated argument, everyone's yelling, trying to win, and you're silent, calm, looking straight ahead, speaking slowly. In that moment, you don't just stand out, you rise above. The Stoic doesn't get pulled into emotional chaos. They keep a cool head in a burning world. And that's the moment you start etching yourself into people's minds. Why aren't they losing it like everyone else? How can they stay so calm? I wish I was like that. They may not say it out loud, but they'll never forget you. 3. Self-mastery. Mental space in others' minds. Someone who lacks self-control often disrupts the minds of those around them. You never know how they'll react. You walk on eggshells trying not to trigger them. You're drained from constantly managing their moods. But the Stoic, they create emotional safety. You can speak freely without fear of being attacked. You can be quiet without being pressured to talk. You can cry without being judged as weak. And a person like that, without trying, lives rent-free in your mind. Chapter 4. The more you master yourself, the more respect you command. Truth is, you can't demand respect. You earn it by mastering yourself, not apologizing for simply existing, not begging in the name of love, not overreacting to every careless word, not chasing attention, but building your worth through your principles. That's how Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, Seneca, and the great Stoics lived. And when you live like that, you won't need to ask people to miss you. They'll feel your absence the moment you're gone. Turkjuri. 5. Self-mastery, chakaturi freedom, and that's irresistible. People who lack self-control rely on others for everything, to feel happy, to feel worthy, to feel loved. The Stoic is different. They are whole on their own. They don't need validation to know their value. And the paradox is, the more free you are, the more people want to stay connected to you. Not because you chase them, but because when they're with you, they feel like they can become the best version of themselves too. Self-mastery isn't about controlling others. It's about living like a flame, untouched by the wind, and never needing someone else to keep it burning. The Stoic doesn't need to say much, doesn't need to prove anything. Their presence alone is powerful. And the most surprising part, you don't have to chase people to be remembered. Just master yourself, and they won't be able to forget you. Ready for Perchi Part 9? That's where you'll learn what to do when they start missing you, while keeping your grace, strength, and that unmistakable Stoic allure. True intimacy begins with who you are, not what you do. Once you understand that, the next question is simple. What kind of man makes a woman never want to leave?
1. Unshakable emotional control. When life hits hard, most men crumble, complain, or explode. But the Stoic man, he stands still, calm, present, and powerful. You become her emotional anchor, not just a lover, but her safe space in chaos. And guess what? Women don't leave the man who makes them feel safe. Let's move deeper. Because presence alone isn't enough if your mission is missing. 2. Purpose bigger than the relationship. A man without direction is a man she will try to fix until she gets exhausted. But when she sees you walking a path, one that does revolve around her, she feels something rare, admiration. She knows you're not chasing her. You're chasing greatness and inviting her to come along. That's when you stop being replaceable and start becoming unforgettable. But purpose without discipline, it collapses. That's where the next trait comes in. 3. Discipline, self-respect. You can't expect her to respect you if you constantly disrespect yourself. Whether it's your health, your habits, or your time, she watches it all. The Stoic man lives by a code. Not because someone's watching, but because he is. That's what silently communicates. I don't need you to love me. I choose you because I love myself first. When your standards are clear, something else unlocks in her psychology, her trust. For consistent masculine integrity, no woman stays loyal to a man whose words mean nothing. But when your actions match your promises, you become her rarest kind of man, the dependable one. And the truth is, it's not about being perfect. It's about being predictably strong when it counts. Your consistency tells her, no matter how life changes, I won't disappear. But even all of this falls short if you miss the final piece. 5. Mastery of silence and presence. The most attractive man in the room isn't always the loudest. He's the one who knows how to listen, to hold silence like a weapon, to look into her eyes and make her feel completely seen. Presence is power, and women are starving for men who don't just speak, but see. When she feels your undivided attention, she gives something most men never earn, loyalty without limits, the kind of man she'll never leave. Here's the truth most men refuse to accept. You don't need to beg. You don't need to impress her with gifts. You don't even need to win her over every day. What you truly need is to become the kind of man she can never imagine replacing. Not because you're flashy, but because your presence brings her peace. Because your silence carries strength. Because your life has direction, with or without her. A man like that isn't loved just for now. He's respected for life. And in that respect, she finds her deepest form of love.
Becoming the man she respects is powerful, but real strength also means knowing what to protect. Here are the 5 secrets every powerful man keeps to himself. Titter 1. His true intentions are always hidden. A powerful man never shows his full hand. He lets actions speak louder than feelings. He doesn't confess his every motive or explain his every move because he knows. Mystery multiplies respect. He's always calm, strategic, and unpredictable, not because he's manipulative, but because transparency in the wrong hands becomes a weapon. And just like he guards his intentions, he also protects something even more sacred: his pain. 2. He never shares his deepest wounds. The modern world tells men to be open about their trauma, but the powerful man, he processes his pain in silence, not in search of pity. He knows that once others sense emotional weakness, some will weaponize it. So he remains stoic. He heals without turning pain into a performance. And while he never reveals his pain, there's one thing he always conceals more carefully: his financial strategy. Chapter 3. He keeps his money moves private. A strong man never brags about what he's building. He knows real wealth moves in silence. Telling a woman or anyone about your investments, income, or future plans can often invite envy, not support. He lets success speak in outcomes, not in conversation. Because the moment you talk too much, you lose leverage. But power is not just in strategy, it's also in how he handles conflict. He doesn't argue, he walks away. Powerful men don't engage in emotional debates or ego battles. He knows arguments drain energy and reveal weakness, so he responds with silence, with boundaries, and with absence. You never win a war by explaining yourself to someone who has already chosen to misunderstand you. And in that silence lies his greatest secret of all: his emotional detachment. Sure. 5. He doesn't need to be loved. He chooses to be respected. Most men beg for love. The powerful man, he doesn't need it to validate his identity. He values respect far more than affection, because respect lasts longer and costs less of your soul. He gives love, but doesn't depend on it, because a man who's mastered himself doesn't chase feelings. He commands reality. Now you know the 5 secrets every powerful man keeps to himself, not because he's hiding from the world, but because he understands that silence is strength, privacy is power, and mystery is magnetic. In a world where everyone overshares, the man who remains silent becomes unforgettable. He becomes untouchable. He becomes dangerous in the best way. So if you want to command respect, protect your peace, and live like a true Stoic, don't beg to be understood. Don't announce your every move. Just build, just grow, just conquer in silence. If this message resonates with you, hit that like button to help more men find their strength. Subscribe for weekly Stoic strategies that transform your mindset and relationships. Comment below. Which of the 5 secrets hit you the hardest, and why? Let's build a tribe of silent warriors. Until next time, stay sharp, stay stoic, stay powerful.